With me is Japan's digital minister. So welcome to WION. You're joining us from Tokyo, and we are here in Hiroshima to cover the G7 summit where the Indian Prime Minister has been invited. My first question to you, sir, is when it comes to India-Japan relationship, specifically on the digital domain, how do you see it going? The Indian Minister for IT was in Japan recently, and you were also in India as well. So what kind of collaboration you're looking at?
Thank you. Well, we just had our G7 digital ministers meeting last month, and we had our Indian digital minister, Mr. Vaishnav, joined with us. And right now, Japan and India is trying to promote a digital cooperation. We are now seriously thinking about joining Indian UPI, the payment system. And also, we are contemplating how we can mutually recognize EID for, well, starting with corporations. So we can increase interoperability. Also, in G7 Digital Ministers meeting, G7 has agreed to establish a new international framework with a permanent secretariat on cross-border data flow. And we are hoping to have Indian government join to this international framework. So on the many fields, Japan-Indian cooperation in the field of digital transformation is going forward.
Minister, how do you see the Indian digital revolution? You pointed out that you would like to join various initiatives which India has taken domestically. So if you can elaborate or perhaps give an outsider's view about the Indian digital revolution.
Yes, we are very surprised to see the India is leapfrogging with India Stack. And you are providing so many services to so many people in India in such a short time. And we admire the Indian government progress. For UPI, well, it is very convenient system of payment where we can increase the interoperability of the payment system between Japan and India or other countries such as Singapore, Thailand, or I heard UAE is also joining. So it could be another standard of telepayment, cross-border telepayment system in the near future. So that's what we are expecting.
Mm-hmm. I believe you're planning to, or you have already sent a team to India to study that.
Well, we are now we set up a task force to make things happen. And we are going back and forth about engineers to learn about the system.
Mm-hmm. So Japan is the chair of the G7. What are the key focus areas in terms of the digital domain that you are planning to take? We know artificial intelligence is one area where there is a concern. There is an opportunity as well. If you can elaborate on any Japanese lead on artificial intelligence.
Yes, well, AI technology is moving forward very fast with new ChatGPT and other AI technologies. Well, in short, AI is computer chip, algorithm, and a data set. So for AI, to promote the AI technology, data set is very important. So DFFT, data free flow with trust, matters for AI technologies. So G7 is trying to set up a forum to discuss how we going to use AI, how we going to regulate, and how to prevent malicious actions by some element. So among the democratic country, AI is a great opportunity as well as some risk. Things like a generative AI could make fake news, disinformation with big volume at cheap cost. And we are all worried about its influence on democracy. So I think, need to sit together and think about how to regulate AI technology and how to prevent fake news, disinformation using AI technologies.
Sir, in India, there is a special worry regarding the digital domain. That's hacking. That's a global worry as well. But we recently saw there were attacks in India, which many have alleged is because of China. So how do you see that aspect as well? A Chinese dimension, states controlling or using this as a form of attack. If you can talk about that.
Thank you. Well, we just had our by-elections at the national level, and we feel there have been a lot of intervention in that. So I think we need to really be careful and come up with some creative idea how we can minimize the impact of intervention or meddling by some dictatorship.
Intervention and meddling. My focus has been on digital domain, but also, sir, you have been a prominent person in terms of the Japanese politics. You have been a former foreign and defense minister as well. How do you see relationship with India in terms of that aspect, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of the defense aspect? We now have air exercises as well.
Thank you. Well, when I was a foreign minister, we elevated Quad to the minister's level and the leader's level. And when I was a defense minister, I visited Indian forces, and well, we had joint things. So the cooperation among the Quad and the cooperation between Japan and India really going well. And we would like to enhance this cooperation into the future. And also in terms of economy, including the digital, I think two countries are doing great things. And I'm very hopeful with this UPI. I think two economies could work together, and startups in India and startups in Japan could work together through digital technologies.
So you mentioned about Quad. This year the Quad was to happen. In fact, next week the Quad was to happen. It got cancelled and likely to happen in Hiroshima. Now, we know that China has been saying that Quad is an Asian NATO. Will you agree with that assessment?
Well, NATO is more treaty-based collective defense organization. Quad is something more looser. We would like to see, cooperation within Quad is going forward and see how things will develop in Asia. Today, Ukraine, tomorrow, East Asia could be. So Quad is going to be more important. And I think we need to increase trust among the four countries.
Increased trust among the four countries, but as you pointed out, it's Ukraine, Russia, it could be East Asia, but there is a worry in our part of the world, that's the Indian subcontinent, over Chinese aggressive actions. We have seen what has happened over past few years, especially at the line of actual control. What do you have to say on that aspect, the Chinese being aggressive with India?
Well, China has increased defense spending 42-fold in the last 30 years, and they are often violating territorial water around Senkaku Island here. And similar things could be observed near the Indian borders. So I think we need to be very careful. And I think Quad is important to keep the peace in East Asia. And well, it is unfortunate that India is not on board with us on Ukrainian sanctions. But hopefully the trust among the four countries will develop, and we can coordinate a lot of activities among the four countries.
My last question, and while you pointed out that India is not on board when it comes to Russia, Ukraine, India and Japan both are on board on several issues, especially on the United Nations Security Council reforms. Where do you see reforms going forward? Because Japan is a leading power. It plays an important role in the region, outside the region. India is now the fifth largest economy, the most populated country. So are you hopeful the UNSC reforms will ever happen, at least in my lifetime?
Well, I'm very grateful for support coming from India. When I was a foreign minister, this UN Security Council reform was one of the major agenda for me and for the Japanese government. Well, right now, because Russia is sitting in the Security Council with veto power, the ordinary way to change the United Nations Charter is very difficult. Japan has terminated peace treaty negotiation with Russia for some time. So we need to be more creative. And I think it is important to have international organization to keep the peace and the stability and provide the support for the basic human rights and all those common values. So I think we need to be creative to create a rule-based international order and the international organization to support it. So in this field, I think it's very important to work together among the like-minded countries. So the cooperation between Japan and India in this field is going to be very important.
I've asked my last question, but since you said that we need to be creative, but what kind of creativity are we looking at? Because it looks like now more organizations are coming forward, like G20 is looked now as a grouping that is now leading rather than the UN. UN has been found missing. There's BRICS as well, there's SCO as well, there's G7 as well. So multiple organizations coming, UN being seen dysfunctional at a time of great geopolitical flux.
Yes, well, because the Security Council is not able to make much decisions, the power of United Nations is decreasing. So I think we need to come up with new ideas how to empower United Nations or how to create a rule-based international order. So I hope we will have more opportunity to discuss what we can do or what we should do.
Well, thank you, Minister Sir, for speaking to WION from Tokyo. And of course, a message perhaps will be sent by the end of this week from Hiroshima as to why peace should be given a chance. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION.
Well, thank you and welcome to Hiroshima.
Thanks, sir.